Hey, it's Jake G33 here, bringing you another one of my paranormal stories. As always, my stories are always true. They're always genuine. They uh, they happen to me for some reason. So, uh, knowing that, please like, subscribe, comment. Make sure you follow my story. It's interesting. Well, at least let me know if you think it's interesting because there's been a lot that's happened to me, and it would I'm just confused as to if this kind of stuff happens to everyone else out there because there's been so much that I'd really like to know what the temperature is with everyone else because I have a lot happen, or I feel like I have a lot happen. Nonetheless, let's jump into the story. I did make a short on this last night, but I'm going to give you an extra one on top of that one. Um, so, me and my wife, this happened about a year ago. Me and my wife, we were playing with our 4 year old, and it actually happened in this exact house that I'm in right now. And what we were doing is we were playing with her where she was running into her bedroom. She would run out to us, and we were sitting on the couch, and we'd pick her up and we put her back down. She'd run back to her bedroom, run back out, and she just kept going, "Ah!" and like running back out and picking her up and putting her back down. It was a good time. So she did that about 5 or 6 times until me and her mom were like, you know what, whenever she runs off again, we're going to take this blanket from off the back of the couch here and we're going to throw it over us. And whenever she comes back out, we'll take the blanket and wrap it around her and tickle her and give her kisses and all this fun stuff, right? So we throw that blanket over us. We hear her footsteps come running back into the living room, just like it had so many times before. They're running off on the tile and then onto the carpet. Now, whenever it comes to carpet sound, it's fairly very new carpet. Okay, so whenever you're running on new carpet, you can hear like a swoosh sound underneath from the underpinning underneath it or whatever you call that. So we hear her footsteps run on the tile. We hear the footsteps come onto the carpet, and this is the blanket. We hear the footsteps come directly to the side of the blanket. And me and her mom were like, "Where's?" And we throw the blanket off, but she's not there. In fact, the moment we see that she's not there, me and her mom look at each other and we start looking for her in the room. She should have been right next to this blanket, and she's not anywhere in the room. I end up like walking into her room and I find her up on the top bunk of her bed and I go, "Hey, did you just run out there and see us under the blanket and then run back in here?" And she's like, "You guys were under a blanket?" And I was like, "Okay, good talk." I just pretty much just was like, "Okay." So she wasn't in there. She didn't know that we were under a blanket at all. Um, but those footsteps were very, very real for both me and her mom. And we knew that she was standing right next to that blanket. We should have been able to flip that blanket off of us and she'd be right there in front of us, but there was nothing there. So I walk back in the living room and my wife is putting the blanket back up, and my wife hates paranormal stuff, hates it, and yet she has me as a husband. But she knew what she was getting into. Whenever I walk back in, she's putting the blanket back up, and she's just kind of shook up about it. And I go, "So I guess this is one of those things that we're just not going to talk about, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, I think that's best." And then she left it at that. Um, of course, I brought it up a couple times before because honestly, I love that stuff. That was the craziest thing. That it was just like off a horror movie. I mean, something so innocent and so fun, and then it just turns into, oh, that's a thing still too. It was that was something I was not ready for. It was that was wild. It really was. But honestly, uh, I have a different theory on that. Um, I there have been things that have also happened to me that makes me believe that this is also a multiverse type scenario where I do believe that in a different universe, my daughter did run back into that room, and that did happen where we threw the blanket off and we wrapped her up and all that stuff. But for some reason, I do believe that every once in a while the veil is lifted on one sense or another. And in this case, I think it was the sound of the feet coming through and doing what it was supposed to do. But it, like I said, I think in a different universe that it happened and it kind of resonated into this one. And that's what ended up happening. Now, I may sound crazy, but I've had other instances that make me believe that I've jumped in and out of different universes before. It's I'll give you another one on the next story that I give you because there've been some weird things happen like that. I'll throw that back out to you and see what you guys think. But I'm going to tell you about the most recent paranormal activity that has happened to me. This happened literally like just a few months ago. It wasn't very long at all. I was at a motel room. I had to stay there because I'm a truck driver and ended up getting stuck out overnight. And I was stuck in this hotel room. And I was sitting there sipping on my coffee. And I always drink the coffees that are in the motel room because the coffees that they serve down at the continental breakfast or complimentary breakfast, it's always terrible. Oh, that's a good hint for you. Stay away from the coffee that's by the coffee bar. Drink the coffee that is in the room, the single cup or the four cup coffee pod things. Those are the best. Okay, so I'm sitting there sipping on my coffee. Set my coffee down, and I realized that the drawers in my room were all opened up. Every single one of them opened up, like the three-tier drawer. One was open, another one was a little bit open more, and the bottom one was completely opened up. And I know I didn't do that, and I know that I know it shouldn't have been that way, period. And I was like, maybe there was like an earthquake last night or something, and that's why these opened up like this. And as I went to go and like shut them all back, I turned and looked at the nightstand that was next to the bed, and whenever I turned and looked at it, that drawer opened up. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what's going on here. And once that happened, I was like, all right, so there's something here in this room, but at the same time, it hasn't messed with me at night. Honestly, it's just trying to get a rise out of me. And I didn't let it faze me. Just kept on going, sat back down, drank my coffee, got back in my truck, and I was gone. But yeah, that was the most recent thing that's happened to me. What do you guys think's going on with me, or going on in these two scenarios? Guys, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. I'm Jake G33. This is my story. You guys have a good one.